here. The girl fighting the bunny is apparently a half-demon, but Yogiri doesn't want to get involved and just asks to get through the exit without a fuss. However, Masaki is too full of himself and refuses to let Yogiri go without a fight, while the demon girl doesn't really care what he does. Masaki calls out the rest of his servants to fight and starts explaining what they can do, but none of that is important because a few seconds later, Yogiri kills them all. Masaki tried to fight as well, so Yogiri took him out too. The demon girl recognizes the power Yogiri must have to be able to kill someone like Masaki so easily, so she requests that he let her join him. The girl introduces herself as Theodisia, a swordsman in disguise who infiltrated the tower trial in an attempt to locate her sister who had gone missing recently. She came here because she had heard her people were getting imprisoned in the tower, so she would like Yogiri's help in traversing it and locating her sister. However, helping her would mean going against the sword master, so she understands if they do not wish to go through with it. Up till this point, Yogiri and Daonara have basically been going through the tower by destroying it bit by bit. So if anything, they are already declaring themselves as enemies of the sword master even if they didn't want to. For that reason, he is fine with helping her out, but he tells her not to rely on his ability too much as he is just helping her look for her sister. Theo is very appreciative of his offer to help, but they've got to have some kind of clue on where to search if they are going to start looking for her sister. She doesn't have much to go off of, but for some reason she can sense something underground, so that's the first place they'll look. Just then, they are joined by Rick, Frederica, and Lionel, who has surprisingly managed to make it this far without dying. They all head to the next room where the sword master was waiting for them, so as he sees that 17 candidates have managed to make it through the trials, he is about to proclaim the next divine king, but before he can do that, he gets interrupted by the homunculi, who have come to deliver terrible news. The tower has fallen silent, almost as if someone told it to die, so they are having trouble maintaining the first barrier, and the second barrier is largely unstable right now, so there is no telling how long they have before the subjects of the Dark Lord are able to breach it. In that same instant, a bright light shines through the tower, and as everyone opens their eyes, they find that the tower has been completely destroyed along with the first barrier, but the second one is still barely functional. The sword master draws his sword as the one behind this destruction descends upon the former tower. He had thought destroying the tower would get rid of the barrier as well, but it seems they are maintained by different systems. The sword master knew this day would come, but he didn't expect it to be so soon. Still, now that things have come to this, he asks the candidates to help him defeat that thing. Otherwise, humanity is done for. While all this is going on, Yogiri suggests that they go search underground while everyone is busy with that thing, and Daonara asks if he really isn't going to do anything about it, even though he can. But as a wise man once said, I missed the part where that's my problem. Besides, if he were to defeat that thing now, it would probably draw a lot of unwanted attention towards them, so it is far more convenient to just let other people do it instead. Lionel sees Yogiri and the others leave and thinks it might be a good idea to leave as well, but Rick stands his ground, not wanting to turn tail and run from the enemy. The same goes for Frederica, so they stay where they are and prepare for a fight. The Dark Angel comes down to the ground and demands to know how to disable the barrier that is holding the Dark Lord in, but the Sword Master refuses to give that information up so easily. The Dark Angel doesn't mind if he wishes to be stubborn about providing the information. He'll just stand here and kill them all one by one until someone feels like telling him what he wants to know. People begin dropping like flies as the Dark Angel electrocutes them, so the ninja in the group tried to stop him by charging forward and creating several shadow clones. However, the clones made no difference as the angel was still able to electrocute them all to death in an instant before he could lay as much as a finger on him. Frederica now decides it's her time to shine, so she charges up a full power blast of impressive scale. But while the buildup was awe-inspiring, its payoff was not worth it, as it was just absorbed by the Dark Angel. From behind it pops a boy who is really impressed by the power output of her blast, considering she is just a human. The homunculus warns the Swordmaster that the boy is an abnormal being as well, but he takes offense to that and says they still have names: Loot and Orgame. Frederica doesn't care though and just wants them dead, but as she tries to go for another attack on him, the strength gap between them is made clear as she has her attack stopped by 2 fingers. Frederica backs off to create enough distance to attack again, but as she does, she realizes she is missing her arm. The missing arm is in the hands of Loot, who turned it into candy when he touched her and proceeds to eat Frederica's body part right in front of her. Rick takes over and strikes at Loot with his sword, which seems to be more effective than magic, but still not enough to give him an actual challenge. He yells for Lionel to get Frederica to safety while he can, but just then, he gets a notification that he has a guaranteed ultra-rare gacha available right now. He decides there is no better time to try his luck than now, so he leaves it up to chance and uses all his apologems to see what he can get. And as the music stops playing, it is the goddess that has been summoned again. He doesn't think she's going to be very helpful since she only came to check on him last time, but now she is actually serious about fighting here. The subordinates of the Dark Lord that they are currently fighting aren't even the strongest ones, so she should be able to take care of this pretty easily. They were excited for a moment, expecting the goddess to obliterate the Dark Angel, but imagine their shock when Orgrim starts kneeling to her instead, and Lute hugs her because they haven't seen each other for a long time now. It turns out that meeting the goddess was one of the most unlucky things that could have ever happened to him, as her ultimate goal in coming here was actually to destroy all of humanity. Meanwhile, back with Yogiri and the others, they have been heading downstairs for a long time, but it doesn't seem like they are actually making any real progress towards their goal from the way things are going. It is almost as if they are stuck in an infinite loop that is meant to protect something up ahead. As they continue to walk, Theo suddenly feels a small amount of the magic belonging to her people, so Daonara asks Yogiri if he can do something like destroying the mechanism that is keeping them stuck in this loop, but he doesn't think he should mess with it because it might be really important. But moments later, an unexplained slash cuts straight through it, undoing the infinity loop. Yogiri doesn't know what just happened, but since he didn't have to destroy the barrier himself, he's okay with it. However, whatever created that slash is still out on the loose. They head into the basement to see if they find Theo's people, but if you've learned anything by now, the basement always houses the most horrific things. Case in point, the pile of living sludge that were once known as Theo's people. They were likely turned into this, so they could have their magic drained from them, but despite the abomination she is witnessing, Theo is somewhat glad that her sister isn't among the ones that were forced to suffer this fate. She puts them out of their misery with her sword, and now they know what happened to the demons that were kept here. Daonara asks what they are going to do now. Yogiri says they should head back to the surface for now, and they'll decide where to go from there depending on what is going on at the moment. He asks Theo what she wants to do, and now that she has seen what she just saw, she has made a vow to kill the Swordmaster with her own hands. Back on the surface, the Swordmaster appoints Rick to be his successor if anything were to happen to him, so even though he doesn't intend on dying here today, if he were to die, Rick should be able to hold his own using the power stored inside the tower. Lionel feels terrible for bringing the goddess here when her goal is to wipe out all of humanity, but even if he dies, he will just end up back at the last save point, so he takes a gamble and asks the goddess why she is doing all this. She had a pretty decent relationship with him, so she explains that a long time ago, her boyfriend disappeared without saying anything to her. This is the Dark Lord we're talking about, and after he went missing, she sent a bunch of messengers all over the world to locate him and found out that he was sealed away here. But no matter who she sent out, she was never able to beat the Sword Master. So she started thinking that if she sent someone as unlucky as Lionel here, his bad luck might rub off on them and make the Sword Master lose for once. Lionel knew he had bad luck, but he never thought it was bad enough that a god would use him as her trump card to destroy humanity. To top it all off, she uses a magic mirror to check the status of the people who could pose the biggest threat to her. But for some reason, it looks like they all died of unknown causes. Things are going great for the goddess, so she takes out the barrier's core and is about to crush it to finally revive her beloved. Yogiri and the others make it back to the surface just as the goddess is about to break the barrier core, and as she does, it crumbles to pieces, allowing time to flow once more. However, instead of the lovely reunion she was hoping for, the Dark Lord plummets to the ground because Yogiri killed him a while ago and everyone is left in utter shock. While everyone is confused, Theo takes the opportunity to run up behind the Swordmaster and slice his head off to get her revenge for what he did to her people. At the same time, that Blade Invader from before stabs the goddess to gather information while she is in a state of shock. After it leaves, she falls to the ground, but while the stabbing wasn't enough to make her lose her life, she has definitely lost her mind after losing her darling. The rest of the Dark Lord's subordinates prepare to take revenge on the humans for the death of their lord, and since things are going to get bad if he does nothing, Yogiri tells Theo and Daonara to hold on to him for a second. He then uses his ability to kill all the subordinates of the Dark Lord as well, and if you're wondering why Theo and Daonara needed to hold on to him, they didn't. He just wanted to experience it. After all the subordinates are dead, Daonara asks if they should do something about the goddess that is firing off blasts indiscriminately. She has just gone insane and holds no hostility towards Yogiri, so he sees no reason to kill her. At the same time, Elwë is dragging Hanekawa towards the former tower as the blasts erupt from the goddess. He just wants to go home, but she assures him that there is no need to worry since they won't die from this. Main characters always have plot armor protecting them from getting hit by random shots. She approaches the guys who are taking the front of the goddess's attack and asks if they've seen Yogiri around here. Rick knows Yogiri, but this isn't the best time to be looking for a friend as they are a little busy right now. Oe acknowledges this and decides to help him finish the battle so she can find Yogiri sooner. She scans him and relays that he has become the new swordmaster, so he should have the power necessary to kill the goddess.